Hi, I'm Peter J. Ray. Welcome. Today's topic is the 1925 Cleveland Indians AL MLB baseball season. Again, the Tribe was playing in the American League, the junior circuit of Major League Baseball, and home games in Cleveland were played at League Park, which at that time was known as Dunn Field, in honor of Sonny Jim Dunn, the late owner of the Indians, who had played a major role when the Cleveland Indians won the 1920 World Series. 1925 was a tough year for the Tribe. They finished in 6th place with a record of 70-84, winning percentage of .455, 27 and a half games out of first. The first place team was the Washington Senators, led by Walter Johnson. They were 96-55, winning percentage of .636. Second place, the Philadelphia Athletics had risen from the bottom to close to the top. Their record was 88-64, eight and a half games out of first. Third place team, the St. Louis Browns, were 82-71. Fourth place, the Detroit Tigers were 81-73. Fifth place, the Chicago White Sox were 79-75. Sixth place, the Cleveland Indians were 70-84. Seventh place, the New York Yankees were 69-85. They had a tough year. I think Babe Ruth was struggling. And in eighth and last place, the Boston Red Sox were 47-105. Very tough year for Boston. Winning percentage of .309, 49 and a half games out of first. Now for the Indians, opening day was against the St. Louis Browns. They were 13-9, but won that game 21-14. They scored 12 runs in the 8th inning. Now the challenge for the Tribe in 1925 is, as I said, the owner, the very dynamic, wonderful owner, Sonny Jim Dunn, had died, and his widow Edith Dunn was the owner, and she would not spend money to improve the team. She was very conservative. This was her, her livelihood or her retirement. On May 20th at League Park, the Tribe had a dramatic 10-9 victory against the Yankees. The Tribe scored 6 runs in the bottom of the 9th, and Tris Speaker scored the winning run from first on a bases-loaded single by Joe Schott. Honus Wagner returned to League Park in 1925 at age 52, playing on a semi-pro team for his hometown Carnegie Elks. On June 19th, Goose Goslin hit 3 home runs at League Park, helping Washington defeat Cleveland 7-5. There was an old-timers game on September 20th at League Park, and former Indians players Jack Graney, Napoleon Lajoie, Terry Turner, and Earl Moore all came to play against a Chicago old-timers team that included Mordecai Brown. Attendance was down in 1925. Total attendance was 419,005 for an average of 5,407 fans per game. Jack McAllister was back as a coach. He was with Cleveland from 1913 to 1927 as a scout, a coach, and then finally a manager. Jack McAllister. Frank Roth was back as another coach. He coached with Cleveland from 1923 to 1925. He's the brother of Tribe outfielder Brago Roth, so this was the end of his time in Cleveland. Frank Roth. Now the manager, the player manager in 1925, again, was Tris Speaker, who was the center fielder and manager, and he had an incredible year. Speaker batted .389 with 167 hits, 35 doubles, 5 triples, 12 home runs, 87 RBIs, 5 stolen bases in 117 games. And Speaker was with Cleveland from 1916 to 1926. He was second in the American League in batting in 1925 behind Detroit Tigers' Harry Heilman, who hit .393. On May 17th, Tris Speaker got his 3,000th career base hit, and he joined Ty Cobb, Honus Wagner, Napoleon Lajoie, and Eddie Collins in the 3,000 hit club. .389 was Speaker's highest average for his career. On July 19th, he was batting .401. Now, in the offseason, he had married Fran Cudahy, who had been his fiancée for the past 2 years, so he was a married man in 1925. On September 20th, he was hitting .398, so he was threatening to bat .400. And he led all American League center fielders with 9 catch-and-throw double plays. Tris Speaker. Glenn Myatt was our starting catcher in 1925. Myatt batted .271 with 97 hits, 15 doubles, 9 triples, 11 home runs, 54 RBIs, 3 stolen bases in 106 games, and Myatt was with Cleveland from 1923 to 1935. Glenn Myatt. George Burns was our outstanding first baseman. Burns batted .336 with 164 hits, 41 doubles, 4 triples, 6 home runs, 79 RBIs, and 16 stolen bases in 127 games. And George Burns was with Cleveland from 1920 to 1921, and then 1924 to 1928. George Burns. Chick Fuster was at second base. Fuster batted .248 with 73 hits, 16 doubles, a triple, a home run, 38 RBIs, 6 stolen bases in 93 games, and Fuster was with Cleveland in 1924 and 1925, so this was the end of his time in Cleveland. He continued in the major leagues until 1927. Chick Fuster. Joe Sewell was our incredible shortstop. Sewell batted .336, 204 hits, wow, 37 doubles, 7 triples, 1 home run, 98 RBIs, 7 stolen bases, and 64 walks in 155 games. What a year. And Joe Sewell was with Cleveland from 1920 to 1930. He's in the Baseball Hall of Fame, and he set a record by having only 4 strikeouts, only striking out 4 times for the entire season and playing in a lot of games. Joe Sewell. Rube Lutzke played third base. Lutzke batted .218 with 52 hits, 9 doubles, a triple, 16 RBIs, 2 stolen bases in 81 games. And Lutzke was with Cleveland from 1923 to 1927. Charlie Jameson was in left field. Jameson batted .296 with 165 hits, 24 doubles, 5 triples, 4 home runs, 42 RBIs, 14 stolen bases in 138 games. And Jameson was with Cleveland from 1919 to 1932, and he's in the Cleveland Indians Hall of Fame. Charlie Jameson. Pat McNulty was in right field. McNulty batted .314, really good. 117 hits, 18 doubles, 2 triples, 6 home runs, 43 RBIs, 7 stolen bases in 118 games, and McNulty was with Cleveland in 1922, and then from 1924 to 1927. Pat McNulty. Now, the bench players included Freddie Spurgeon, who was an infielder. Spurgeon batted .287 with 108 hits, 9 doubles, 3 triples, 32 RBIs, 8 stolen bases in 107 games, and Spurgeon was with Cleveland from 1924 to 1927. Freddie Spurgeon. Luke Sewell, the brother of Joe Sewell, was a spare catcher. Sewell batted .232 with 51 hits, 10 doubles, 2 triples, 18 RBIs, 6 stolen bases in 74 games, and Sewell was with Cleveland from 1921 to 1932, and then in 1939. Luke Sewell. Cliff Lee was an outfielder, no connection or a different Cliff Lee from the tremendous pitcher in recent years. Cliff Lee batted .322 with 74 hits, 15 doubles, 6 triples, 4 home runs, 42 RBIs, 2 stolen bases in 77 games. Lee was from Lexington, Nebraska. He died in Denver, Colorado in 1980 at age 84. For his career, he batted .300 with 38 home runs and 216 RBIs. Lee played for the Pittsburgh Pirates, Philadelphia Phillies, Cleveland Indians, and Cincinnati Reds between 1919 and 1926. In the minor leagues, he played for the Muscatine Buttonmakers, the Marshalltown Ansons, Portland Buckaroos, St. Louis Saints, and Newark Bears. Cliff Lee. Homer Suma was a spare outfielder. Suma batted .330, 74 hits, 10 doubles, a triple, 25 RBIs, 3 stolen bases, 13 walks in 75 games. And Suma was with Cleveland from 1922 to 1928. Homer Suma. Johnny Hodap played some third base. Hodap batted .238 with 31 hits, 5 doubles, a triple, 14 RBIs, 2 stolen bases, 11 walks in 37 games. Hodap was from Cincinnati, Ohio. He died in Cincinnati in 1980 at age 84. For his career, he batted .311 with 880 hits, very good, 429 RBIs. Hodap played for the Cleveland Indians, Chicago White Sox, and Boston Red Sox between 1925 and 1932. He was a two-time 300 hitter. They called him Urban John, and he mostly played second base. He was a solid contact hitter. In 1930, he hit .354 with 121 RBIs. He led the American League in hits with 225 that year, and in doubles with 51. Wow. In 1928, he had 2 hits in 1 inning, twice in 1 game. So they batted around, and he got 2 hits in 1 inning, and he did it again in the same game. Wow, the first American League player to do that. He had German and Dutch grandparents, and his mother was Dutch. His wife's name was Martha. They had 5 children. After he retired, Hodap became the funeral director at the family funeral home, and he died of prostate cancer. Johnny Hodap. Ray Node played some first base. Node batted .250 with 27 hits, 108 at-bats, 5 doubles, 11 RBIs, 3 stolen bases, 10 walks in 45 games. And Node was with Cleveland from 1923 to 1926. Ray Node. Joe Klugman was an infielder, played mostly second base. Klugman batted .329 with 28 hits and 85 at-bats. He scored 12 runs, 9 doubles, 2 triples, 12 RBIs, 3 stolen bases in 38 games. Klugman was from St. Louis, Missouri. He died in Moberly, Missouri in 1951 at age 56. For his career, he batted .251 with 17 RBIs. Klugman played for the Chicago Cubs, Brooklyn Robins, and Cleveland Indians between 1921 and 1925, so this was the end of his MLB career. He was a manager of the Nashville Volunteers in the minor leagues in the Southern Association in 1931 and 1932. And in the minor leagues, he played for the Superior Brickmakers, Atlanta Crackers, Des Moines Boosters, Minneapolis Millers, Memphis Chickasaws, and Knoxville Smokies. Joe Klugman. Riggs Stevenson played some outfield. Stevenson batted .296, 16 hits and 65 at-bats. He scored 8 runs, 3 doubles, a triple, a home run, 9 RBIs, a stolen base in 19 games. And Stevenson was with Cleveland from 1921 to 1925, so this was the end of his time in Cleveland. He continued in the major leagues until 1934. Riggs Stevenson. Ike Eicherott played some outfield. Eicherott batted .231 with 12 hits and 52 at-bats. He scored 4 runs, had 3 doubles, a triple, 4 RBIs in 15 games. Eicherott was from Chicago, Illinois. He died in Indianapolis, Indiana in 1965 at age 62. For his career, he batted .234 with 51 RBIs. And Eicherott played for the Cleveland Indians and Chicago White Sox between 1925 and 1931. So he was a rookie in 1925. Ike Eicherott. Harvey Hendrick played some first base. Hendrick batted .286 with 8 hits and 28 at-bats. He scored 2 runs, had a double, 2 triples, 9 RBIs in 25 games. Hendrick was from Mason, Tennessee. He died in Covington, Tennessee in 1941 at age 43. Batted .308 with 896 hits, really good, 413 RBIs. Hendrick played for the New York Yankees, Cleveland Indians, Brooklyn Robins, Cincinnati Reds, St. Louis Cardinals, Chicago Cubs, and Philadelphia Phillies between 1923 and 1934. They called him Gink. He went to Vanderbilt and played on the baseball and football teams there, the Commodores. He was the favored target of quarterback Jess Neely. Sadly, Hendrick committed suicide in 1941 at age 43 using firearms. He batted .304 times. In the minor leagues, he played for the Chattanooga Lookouts, the Galveston Sand Crabs, Providence Grays, and New Orleans Pelicans. He also won a World Series title in 1923 with the New York Yankees. Harvey Hendrick. Roxy Walters was a spare catcher. Walters batted .200 with 4 hits and 20 at-bats. He struck out twice in 5 games. Walters was with Cleveland in 1924 and 1925, and this was the end of his MLB career. Roxy Walters. Chick Tolson played from first base. Tolson batted .250 with 3 hits and 12 at-bats. He walked twice and struck out once in 3 games. Tolson was from Washington, D.C. He died in Washington in 1965 at age 69. For his career, he batted .284 with 4 home runs and 45 RBIs. Tolson played for the Cleveland Indians and Chicago Cubs between 1925 and 1930, and his given name was Charles Julius. Chick Tolson. Frank McCrea was another catcher. McCrea batted .200 with 1 hit and 5 at-bats. He scored a run in 1 game. McCrea was born in 1896 in Jersey City, New Jersey. He died in 1981 at age 84. And his MLB career was just with the Cleveland Indians in 1925. He also played in the minor leagues for the Hamilton, Ontario, Canada Clippers. Frank McCrea. Gene Bedford played some second base. Bedford batted 3 times, did not have a hit. He scored a run, struck out once in 2 games. Bedford was from Dallas, Texas. He died in San Antonio, Texas in 1977 at age 80. His MLB career was just with the Cleveland Indians in 1925. He also played end for the Rochester Jeffersons, who were a football team that lasted from 1898 to 1925, including an NFL period from 1920 to 1925. So Gene Bedford was also an NFL player. Gene Bedford. Dutch Usat played some second base. Usat batted once, did not have a hit in 1 game. Usat was from Dayton, Ohio. He died in Dayton in 1959 at age 55. For his career, he batted .176 with 3 hits. He played for the Cleveland Indians in 1925 and 1927. His given name was William August. They called him Dutch, and he was also a scout for the Boston Braves. Dutch Usat. Now, the pitching staff was led by Sherry Smith, who was 11-14 with an ERA of 4.86, 31 games, 30 starts, 22 complete games, a shutout, and a save. Sherry Smith could hit. His batting average was .304 with 28 hits and 92 at-bats. He scored 9 runs, had 3 doubles, a triple, a home run, 15 RBIs, walked 6 times, struck out 13 times. And Smith was with Cleveland from 1922 to 1927. Sherry Smith. George Ewell was another starting pitcher. Ewell had a good year. He was 13-11 with an ERA of 4.10, 29 games, 26 starts, 17 complete games, and a shutout. Ewell also is a pretty good hitter. He hit .287 with 29 hits and 101 at-bats, scored 10 runs, 3 doubles, 3 triples, 13 RBIs. He walked 7 times in 55 games. And Ewell was with Cleveland from 1919 to 1928 and then in 1936, and he's buried at Lakewood Cemetery in Rocky River, Ohio. George Ewell. Ben Carr was another pitcher. Carr's pitching record was 11-12 with an ERA of 4.78, 32 games, 24 starts, 12 complete games, and a shutout. Carr batted .261 with 24 hits and 92 at-bats. He scored 11 runs, had 5 doubles, a home run, 17 RBIs, walked 7 times, struck out 8 times in 46 games. Carr was from Mount Pleasant, Mississippi. He died in Memphis, Tennessee in 1968 at age 75. His career record was 35-48 with an ERA of 4.60 and 180 strikeouts. Carr pitched for the Boston Red Sox and Cleveland Indians between 1920 and 1927. They called him Baldy Carr. He's in the U.S. Army during the First World War. He also played 15 years in the minor leagues for the Memphis Chickasaws, the Mobile Seagulls, San Francisco Seals, Galveston Pirates, Chattanooga Lookouts, Atlanta Crackers, New Orleans Pelicans, and the Birmingham Barons. Ben Carr. Jake Miller was another starting pitcher. Miller's record was 10-13 with an ERA of 3.31, 32 games, 22 starts, 13 complete games, and a save. Miller batted .183 with 13 hits and 71 at-bats. He scored 5 runs, had a triple, an RBI, he struck out 29 times, struck out once in 29 games. And Miller was with Cleveland from 1924 to 1931. Jake Miller. Garland Buckeye was another pitcher. Kind of reminds me of Wayne Garland, who played for in Cleveland, Ohio, which is the Buckeye State back in the 70s. Garland Buckeye's record was 13-8 with an ERA of 3.65, 30 games, 18 starts, 11 complete games, and a shutout. Buckeye batted .226 with 14 hits and 62 at-bats. He scored 7 runs, had 3 doubles, 3 home runs, 9 RBIs, walked twice, struck out 13 times in 30 games. Buckeye was from Heron Lake, Minnesota. He died in Stone Lake, Wisconsin in 1975 at age 78. His career record was 30-39 with an ERA of 3.91 and 134 strikeouts. Buckeye pitched for the Washington Senators, Cleveland Indians, and New York Giants between 1918 and 1928. They called him Gob. On June 11th, 1927, he gave up 2 home runs to Babe Ruth in the same game. Excuse me. He also had a pro football career. He was a center and guard in the NFL from 1920 to 1924 for the Chicago Tigers and the Chicago Cardinals. And in 1926 for the Chicago Bulls in the First American Football League. In 1939, he was indicted by the Waukesha grand jury on criminal charges for keeping and using slot machines. He's the great-grandfather of 2 MLB players, Drew and Stu Pomerantz. Buckeye also played in the minor leagues for the Toledo Mud Hens, Minneapolis Millers, and Milwaukee Brewers. Garland Buckeye. Joe Schott had a tough year. Schott's record was 4-12, with an ERA of 5.43, 26 games, 17 starts, 10 complete games, a shutout, and 4 saves. Schott batted .302 with 16 hits and 53 at-bats. He scored 4 runs, had 2 doubles, a triple, 6 RBIs in 29 games. And Schott was with Cleveland from 1922 to 1930. Joe Schott. By Spiess was another pitcher. Spieth's record was 3-5 with an ERA of 4.28. 28 games, 3 starts, 3 complete games, and a save. And Spieth's batting average was .161 with 5 hits and 31 at-bats. He scored 2 runs, had 2 doubles, 2 RBIs, struck out 10 times in 28 games. Spieth was from West Baden, Indiana. He died in Elgin, Oregon in 1974 at age 77. His career record was 5-6 with an ERA of 4.73 and 53 strikeouts. Spieth pitched for the Washington Senators, Cleveland Indians, and Philadelphia Phillies between 1924 and 1930, and he won a World Series in 1924 with the Washington Senators. Minor leagues, he played for 20 years and won 241 games. He also won a title in 1922 in the minors for the Norfolk Elkhorns. In 1923, he was in the minors for pitched for Omaha Buffaloes and set a record as a pitcher when he himself hit 2 home runs in 1 game. And his pitching record was 26-14 that year. He retired at age 48. And in the minor leagues, he played for the Portland Beavers, Seattle Rainiers, Nashville Vols, and Toledo Mud Hens. By Spieth. Bert Cole was another pitcher. Cole's pitching record was 1-1 with an ERA of 6.14, 13 games, 2 starts, and 44 innings pitched. His batting average was .154 with 2 hits and 13 at-bats. He scored 2 runs, walked 3 times, struck out twice in 13 games. Cole was from San Francisco, California. He died in San Mateo, California in 1975 at age 78. His career record was 28-32 with an ERA of 4.67 and 119 strikeouts. Cole pitched for the Detroit Tigers, Cleveland Indians, and Chicago White Sox between 1921 and 1927. He played in the minor leagues for 11 years and had a record of .151 and .121. In 1924, Cole was, quote, stiff-armed by Babe Ruth on a play at first base, and then he hit the Yankee batter Bob Musil. Then Babe Ruth of the Yankees and Ty Cobb of the Tigers and others ran on the field as well as the crowd, and the game was forfeited. In 1935, Cole played with Joe DiMaggio with the San Francisco Seals in the Pacific Coast League, DiMaggio's first year in pro baseball. In the minor leagues, Cole played for the Tacoma Tigers, Sacramento Senators, and San Francisco Mission Reds. Bert Cole. Carl Yoel was another pitcher. Yoel's pitching record was 2-3 with an ERA of 4.46. 12 games, 4 starts, a complete game, and 36 1/3 innings pitched. Yoel batted .125 with 1 hit and 8 at-bats. He scored a run, struck out twice in 12 games, and Yoel was with Cleveland from 1924 to 1925. This was the end of his MLB career. Carl Yoel. Jim Joe Edwards had a tough year. He was 0-3 with an ERA of 8.25. 13 games, 3 starts, a complete game, and 36 innings pitched. As a batter, Edwards batted .111 with 1 hit and 9 at-bats. He struck out 4 times in 13 games. Edwards was with Cleveland from 1922 to 1925. This was the end of his time in Cleveland. He continued in the major leagues until 1928. Jim Joe Edwards. Dutch Levson was another pitcher. Levson's pitching record was 1-2 with an ERA of 5.55. 4 games, 3 starts, 2 complete games, and 24 and a third innings pitched. Levson's batting average was .250 with 2 hits and 8 at-bats. He scored a run, had a double and RBI, walked once, struck out 3 times in 4 games. And Levson was with Cleveland from 1923 to 1928. Dutch Levson. Ray Benge was another pitcher. Benge's pitching record was 1-0 with an ERA of 1.54. 2 games, both starts, a complete game, and 11 and 2/3 innings pitched. Benge batted .400 with 2 hits and 5 at-bats. He scored a run in 2 games. Benge was from Jacksonville, Texas. He died in Centerville, Texas in 1997 at age 95. His career record was 101 and 130, an ERA of 4.52, and 655 strikeouts. Benge pitched for the Cleveland Indians, Philadelphia Phillies, Brooklyn Dodgers, Boston Bees, and Philadelphia Phillies again, and the Cincinnati Reds between 1925 and 1938. So he was a rookie in 1925. He led the National League in home runs allowed with 24 and earned runs allowed with 139 in 1929. In the minor leagues, he played for the Waco Cubs, the Decatur Commodores, the Shreveport Sports as a player and coach. He also was a player and coach for the Sam Houston State College Bearcats. Ray Benge. Finally, Luther Roy had no decisions as a pitcher. He had an ERA of 3.60, 6 games, a start, and 10 innings pitched. Roy batted twice, did not have a hit, struck out once in 6 games. He was with Cleveland from 1924 to 1925, so this was the end of his time in Cleveland. He continued in the major leagues until 1929. Luther Roy. Now, after the regular season, the Washington Senators, the American League champions, were defeated by the Pittsburgh Pirates, the National League champions, 4-3 in the World Series. The Senators, after 4 games, led the series 3-1. But then it went to Game 7, and the great Walter Johnson was pitching with a 6-4 lead in the bottom of the 7th. However, errors by Roger Peckinpah in the 7th and 8th inning led to 4 unearned runs, and Pittsburgh won Game 7. Peckinpah was the 1925 American League MVP, and he set a record with 8 errors in the World Series, and later became the Cleveland Indians manager, so that was a tough thing that he had to live with. Senators had Stan Kovaleski, who had resurrected his career after Cleveland gave up on him, as well as Goose Goslin and Walter Johnson. And the Pirates had Kiki Kyler and Pie Traynor. So that's the story of the 1925 Cleveland Indians. They had a tough year, but they still played for us, and they wore the Cleveland jersey, so they were our guys. God bless the fellows who played for the Cleveland Indians in 1925, and everyone else associated with the team, including the fans, especially the Civil War veterans, Spanish-American War veterans, and First World War veterans. Captains of the Cuyahoga, lovers of Lake Erie, Terminal Tower Power, fans of the Free Stamp statue and the Fountain of Eternal Life, Euclid Avenue Electricity, Severance Hall stalwarts, Cleveland Museum of Art enthusiasts, First Energy Stadium friends, Progressive Field pals, Quicken Loans arena enthusiasts, Tribe, Browns, Cavs, Monsters, and Gladiators rule. Cleveland, City of Champions. Cleveland is the best location in the nation on the north coast of America. New York is the Big Apple. Cleveland is a plum. Before you know it, it'll be Opening Day 2019. Go Tribe. Thank you so much for watching. I really, really appreciate it. God bless you. Take care, and I'll see you next time.